Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ian, digital marketing consultant and agency owner. And in this video, I want to talk about advertising while this whole COVID-19, whatever we're going to call it, is going on. Now, for a lot of people, business owners as well as agency owners or advertisers, this is a little bit unsettling because business as usual has more or less been disrupted across the board. All different industries are feeling the effects of supply chains slowing down or stopping in a lot of cases. People not being as concerned about the types of consumer purchases that they were concerned with prior to this happening. And people who otherwise would have some sort of tolerance for offers being thrown at them from advertisers that are no longer tolerant to these things. Now, on the other hand, advertisers like myself and many people in the industry I've talked to have noticed that for many types of products, things you'd expect like health products, immunity-based products, home workouts, these types of things are doing better than normal. Now, another thing you might not have realized is that across the board, advertising has a lot of potential to reach people that was not there just a few weeks ago. And if you think about it, this is really simple. The majority of digital advertising is taking place on a device like a phone or a tablet or a computer or a laptop, and people are spending more time on these devices. If you look at some of the indicators for usage for cloud computing infrastructure, it has gone off the board. I think I saw a statistic saying that one of Microsoft's most heavily used cloud computing infrastructure platforms, the usage on it had doubled or something like this during the first week of this shelter in place that's taking place. I know in the United States, but a lot of other countries that United States businesses sell in, the first week that a lot of these countries were doing this shelter in place, there was this huge spike in the data usage on these cloud computing platforms. And I'm sure this isn't just isolated to some of the advertising networks and some of the cloud computing networks. I think across the board, people are spending more time on their devices. And even if it's not more time with the device just turned on, there's more attention on those devices, more browsing going on, more scrolling going on, and overall, probably just a lot more useful ad inventory to take up in this time. Now, this isn't to say that you want to focus on the ability to hawk more products at people while there's a pandemic going on, but it is to say that there is a potential there to use this ad inventory, regardless of what you're thinking about using it for. So now that we've kind of got that out of the way, and I put my disclaimer out here on public record, I want to say that there are some ways that you can use this not only to benefit the people that you're running advertisements for, but also to just try to more or less put some positive vibes out there into the world. Now, I know for myself and everyone that I work with, the main thing that we're trying to do is just make sure that we have offers that are relevant to people in these new circumstances that they find themselves in. We don't want to use the same offers we may have used a couple of weeks ago, particularly if it's a product or line of products that are heavily affected by new circumstances many people face in these times. For example, an easy to understand example is workout programs. Many people who would be, going to the gym and doing some advanced workout program where they have any type of equipment they would like are finding themselves in a situation where that's no longer possible. So this is kind of an easy example how messaging around what people are trying to solve, it needs to change to fit people's new circumstance. So obviously if they're working out, you're not going to talk about some sort of advanced workout that requires a athletic performance training center. You want to talk about things where people are working out at home. Now, I'm not trying to solve your advertising problems with that simple example, but it's just to convey the point that there's always going to be something that's relevant, but it's definitely changed for almost everything you're advertising for. So the first thing that we've been trying to do with anyone I work with is change the messaging to make sure that it's relevant. So if you have old ad copy, old ad creatives that are addressing things that might not be relevant anymore, you kind of want to make sure you change that. In extreme circumstances, it actually could offend people if you're talking about the wrong thing that may or may not, be relevant to people at this point, or may even trigger people now that might not have before. Talking about trying to drop this carrot in front of people saying that they should go do this activity that they're not actually able to do because they're stuck at home is not going to be a good way to appeal to people. You're liable to just piss people off. So you just want to make sure, again, that your message is relevant. This is something that is a principle of advertising. It always matters, but now it's just especially important. Now, the other thing you want to do is, even more than normal, make sure that you're testing. You could say that you've now entered this phase where you need to basically be starting from scratch with a lot of products and services in testing, who's receptive to this offer. The same people that were receptive prior to getting stuck at home may no longer be receptive. And a lot of people that were previously not receptive to a message may now be accepting for it. A great example is people for work at home opportunities. There's quite a few people that are looking for work at home opportunities now that were not just weeks ago. And on top of that, there's people that need work at home opportunities that weren't even thinking about them weeks ago. It might not even be this person that was on the fence or just kind of not interested. Some people literally were not even thinking about work at home opportunities. It's now entered their psyche. Similarly, some people weren't even thinking about taking care of their immunity or making sure that they're taking care of their bodies or making sure that they're working out. And now people are. So that's kind of the second part of this discussion. To recap, the first part, there's more ad inventory that could potentially be useful. There's new messages that are going to work for people and old messages that are not. And then the third part is making sure that you're not riding up against those limits of compliance on any of the platforms you are, so that you can get your ads to deliver, but also that you're making sure you're helping this situation. Now, I don't want to get too altruistic when we're talking about advertising here, because of course we're all in this to make money and make sure our costs are such that we can run our businesses, but it's still important to make sure you're doing something that's helping people in their situation. Whether that's just to enhance the user experience of people seeing your company's ads online, or it's because you really feel this connection to the people you're advertising to and you don't want to put things out in the world that you wouldn't appreciate personally. So one way to do that is just to make sure that your messages are uplifting. And now this might sound like this is just altruistic garbage and it's not relevant to advertising, but a lot of platforms are selecting and giving better reach to ads that they do assess as being positive in sentiment. We know this has already happened on Facebook, and it's my belief and a lot of other people's belief that there are actually different variants on certain AI technologies that are going through looking at some form of a sentiment analysis on these messages you're putting out in writing, and potentially even the audio transcript of a video and taking a look at the sentiment in that. So these are things to think about. You are rewarded on most platforms for going for a positive message. I know in advertising, there's this idea that you need to get people riled up and really hit on these pain points for people, but it's starting to get more difficult to get those types of messages approved. And you'll notice that they generally do not get the amount of reach that, the more positive sentiment types of ad copy and creatives get. And they also get flagged and shut down a lot more. Those types of persuasive arguments in copy or in ad creatives are what cause accounts to get shut down, accounts to get banned, ads to not get passed through. And a lot of advertisers still don't know this. So if you've been kind of behind the power curve with compliance and increasing the sentiment on your ads, you've been still trying to, persuade people with these pain points and really make those pain points more painful for people, and you haven't been taking advantage of, the added reach that some more positive sentiment gets on your ad creatives, this might be a good time for you to start testing that and to sort of come into this new world of advertising where beyond just doing anything you can to persuade people, there's this added component of weighting these ads in the actual ad auction towards things that have a more positive sentiment. I think you'll notice that you actually start to get better performance than you would just trying to persuade people into doing things, and you might feel better about the stuff you're putting out there on ad networks, especially when people are already stressed out sitting at home. So this is just a long-winded way of saying, there's always a way to work yourself out of a situation. It's no different in advertising. This situation, while it can be viewed in a negative light from a number of different points of view, you can also view it in a positive light, particularly if you're in the ad industry and you're trying to get a message out there. This is as good a time as any, as long as you're staying positive, looking at those new opportunities, testing your messaging, and making sure that you're leaning on the side of positive sentiment. I think that you'll find some really great, even unexpected levels of success even in this environment. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and comment below letting me know what you liked about it. If there's one part or another you'd like me to go into more depth on. If you thought this was total crap and I have no idea what I'm talking about, that's great as well. You can let me know in the comments below. Any engagement helps. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime that we come out with videos on paid acquisition, analytics, or attribution. And as always, I really appreciate you guys watching.